Hi, my name's Jana, and I'm an admissions rep with Kansas State University Online. I want to thank everyone for joining us tonight to learn more about our personal financial planning programs. I'm joined by Dr. Derek Sinsnick and Morgan Graham. They are going to spend roughly the next 30 minutes giving us a presentation about this program. Throughout the presentation, we will be using the chat feature and answering questions as they are being asked. Some of your questions may be saved until the end of the presentation to answer. At this point, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Sinsnick.
Thank you, Jana. Good evening and welcome. We definitely appreciate you taking the time out of your schedule to join us. Just so you know who's going to be speaking to you this evening, you have myself there in the center, and then you already heard from Jana. And then on the right-hand side, you have Morgan Graham. She's our academic advisor, and will help you walk through the application process and the entire process of getting on board with Kansas State. So let's take a quick look at the agenda. Like Jana said, we'll spend the first 45 minutes or so discussing an overview of the industry, then jump into the details of the programs that we offer, and leave about 10 to 15 minutes for questions. If you could, in the chat, type in where you're from, and then the program or programs that you are most interested in. And as a reminder, we will be recording this webinar, and you'll be able to receive a copy of it within a few weeks after it's done and after they take care of fixing a couple things and modifying it a little bit. So with that, we'll jump right into it and take a look at the industry. And if we're looking at the perfect profession, we would want one that has a high community impact and helps a lot of people. And then ideally, we would want to have an opportunity to earn a great income. And then with that, we would also like to have the opportunity for flexible career growth and, of course, abounding opportunities that could help us along that path. The great thing about financial planning, or the financial planning profession, is that is really a combination of all of those that we just talked about. So as we look at that, we're going to work from the same definition of financial planning. And this definition comes from the Certified Financial Planning Board. And it states there that financial planning is a collaborative process that helps maximize a client's potential for meeting life goals through financial advice that integrates relevant elements of the client's personal and financial circumstances. So in practice, this is a lot like putting together a financial puzzle piece. And you really can't provide extensive help to them unless you understand the behavioral attributes of finances as well as their financial aspects. It wouldn't make a whole lot of sense to tell them to do something without understanding if they can actually do that and if that's really part of their goals and objectives. Financial planning is really simplified down to this equation there that's on the screen. Financial planning does equal lifestyle design. And the financial planning process is going to broadly cover 3 steps. The first is organization. Naturally, we help them get organized. Sometimes that means tracking down old 401ks, old bank accounts, maybe even old life insurance policies. And then we help create confidence through education, helping them understand and clarify their goals and what it would take for them to meet those objectives. And then finally, we serve as an accountability partner that helps them stay on track with meeting their goals over a long period of time. Now, to accomplish this, there are numerous tracks of applying the broad spectrum of the financial planning profession. On the top left-hand side there, you have the much more entrepreneurial side, which is done through wirehouses, brokerages, life insurance companies, or even independent broker-dealers. This is the more high-risk, high-reward segment where you can own and grow your book of business and usually have a significant level of autonomy with your time. And then continuing down that path, another segment is a mix of the entrepreneurial and institutional investing. This is traditionally done by working with or as a registered investment advisor. You might even be someone that focuses on taxes or even going into the research and academia side. And then finally, there's the institutional side where we have banking, discount brokerages, and some application on the financial technology side. This segment usually offers a little bit more structure and stability, as well as a blended compensation structure. So on this next slide, you'll see a very traditional career path that goes from the paraplanner position, more of an entry-level position, then moving into the financial planner role, takes on some leadership, and then into the sales and development, where you'll likely serve as a senior advisor. And then that is followed by a partner or management position where you're more responsible for the broader vision of the company. Along with that, you see an example on the next slide here of a typical compensation package that goes from the early career stages of being a paraplanner all the way over to being a practicing planner or a practicing partner. You'll notice a lot of this is determined by years of industry experience, and as your income or compensation grows, so does the percentage of income based on performance that is incentive or bonus driven. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Morgan to share with you some of the specifics of how programs at KSU can help you achieve those goals.
Awesome. Thanks, Dr. Sensenig. So really excited to be here with y'all tonight. I appreciate you letting us know a little bit about yourselves in the chat. We've got some different states represented, some different interests coming into the program. So really happy that you're spending your evening with us tonight. So I just want to thank you for that. As a reminder, I'm the academic advisor for the grad programs here at K-State. So you'll see up here, we've got a few different options in PFP. So we've got some graduate certificates, we've got the master's, we've got the doctoral program. So I advise for all of these. We're going to focus specifically on those first four tonight. So our grad certificates and the master's that you see up here. I noticed in the chat, again, we've got folks from all over with some different interests. I think I noticed a career changer in the chat, and that may be some of you. We may have some folks who are already in the financial planning industry, or maybe something else that applies to your situation. And K-State is a really good fit for career changers, for folks who are already active in industry, for folks who are working full time. There's a lot of flexibility here. So we'll talk about that tonight. But again, just super glad that you're here with us. So looking at the programs that we offer here in the financial planning department at Kansas State. So starting first with our graduate certificates, we have a few options for you there. So we've got the personal financial planning certificate. You'll hear us just call it PFP. We've got financial therapy, we've got advanced financial planning, and then we've got the master's, which is going to be kind of a combination of a few of those. So starting first, just looking at our graduate certificate options. So with the PFP certificate, it's going to be 6 courses that are going to total up to 18 credits. So all of these certificates that you see up here, they are for graduate credit. So what that means is that they can then be transferred towards a master's degree, whether that's here at K-State or elsewhere, but they are for graduate credit. So 18 credits, 6 classes for the PFP certificate. It takes about 14 months to finish those classes. We'll talk about the format of those. There is flexibility there, but that's generally going to be the standard timeline. So this is comprehensive personal financial planning. It's preparing you to work with clients. It does satisfy the eligibility requirements to sit for the CFP exam. So it sets you up there. So it's going to cover those CFP requirements: insurance, retirement, investments, tax, estate planning, and case studies, where you're going to draw it all together and create a comprehensive financial plan. The next certificate option that we have is financial therapy, something that is very distinct to K-State, something K-State does well. We were the first financial therapy program in the country. So our financial therapy certificate, that's going to be four courses for 12 credits. It takes about 10 months to finish those 4 classes. Again, there's some flexibility there. When we talk about financial therapy, I just like to sum it down to it is the human side of money. So when you're looking at a financial planning client planner relationship, so you got someone like Dr. Sensenig who works with clients, or a lot of our faculty who are actively working with clients as financial planners as well as teaching. They're sitting down with clients and you can give them the best advice in the world, just tried and true strategic financial planning advice. But there are still barriers there that prevent people from taking action. And so financial therapy is looking at what is going on kind of behind the scenes with clients that is potentially preventing them from meeting their goals or inhibiting their relationship with money. And so it's helping you better serve your clients. So understanding the client psyche and individual perspective on money, what they bring into that relationship. That can be fear, it can be shame, discomfort around money. There can be conflict in a relationship if you're serving, maybe you're serving a couple, maybe you're having a couple that is getting married or getting divorced. There's a loss in the family, there's bankruptcy, all these hard conversations that go into those intimate conversations around money. Financial therapy is going to help you navigate those conversations. So first, by understanding the theory and research behind what is going on there, and then turning that into action. How do you have productive conversations? How do you help your clients work through these barriers that, again, are ultimately preventing them from reaching their goals, which is what you want to help them get to as a financial planner. Looking at those classes, so we've got Intro to Financial Therapy, Money and Relationships, Applied Behavioral Finance, and Financial Therapy Theory and Research. So 4 courses there. I'm gonna move my Zoom over a little bit. So our final certificate that we offer is the Advanced Financial Planning. So that's 4 classes, also for 12 credits, also completed in about 10 months. And so the Advanced Financial Planning, that is designed for folks who maybe already have their CFP certification, or if you're doing the master's and you want to do the PFP, and then take it a step further and dive even deeper into those technical financial planning concepts. So you've got the CFP requirements over on the PFP side, but we're going to take a few of those. So advanced estate, advanced retirement, advanced tax. We're going to take a few of those and just dive even deeper. Dr. Sensenegg teaches in those classes. He's been in practice for a long time. And so taking what you're learning and just being able to apply it even further, understanding even more complex areas of that content, very case study based, very practical application, and just really enhancing that knowledge that you have that you are bringing into your practice as a financial planner. So again, building on that CFP content and to provide practical insight into those client scenarios. So those are our 3 graduate certificates. And so you have the option of maybe the master's right now is just not the right fit for you. Maybe you don't need or want the full degree, but you want to focus in on one of these specific content areas. So that's where the certificate comes in. And you can see how long those timelines are for each one. Moving then into the master's program. So for the master's, it's going to be 10 courses or 30 credit hours, and it takes about 2 years to finish. Again, that's the standard timeline. There's a lot of flexibility there. So if you're looking at K-State and you say, okay, I've got this goal in my job, I want to hit my CFP by this point, or I want to change careers by this point, or hey, I've got some stuff going on at home, I've got little ones, or work's really busy, I need to kind of pace myself and stretch it out. We can be flexible with that schedule, and you and I would work together to build that and make sure the schedule is the right fit for you. But all that to say, the standard timeline is about 2 years. All of our coursework is fully online. So there's no in-person, on-campus residency requirements. It's fully online. All of our classes are 8 weeks long. So we'll talk about that some more in a little bit. But with 8-week long classes, 10 classes total for the master's, typically our students will do 2 classes in a semester, but 1 at a time. So 1 in the first 8 weeks, 1 in the second 8 weeks for fall and spring, 1 class in the summer. So that on that pace, that gets you through in 2 years. So we looked at those 3 graduate certificates, but you can also consider those to be tracks within the master's. So you're going to pick 2 of those and combine them to complete the master's degree. So that could be financial planning with financial therapy, financial planning with advanced financial planning, or if you are coming in and you already have your CFP, then you'll complete the financial therapy with advanced financial planning with a couple of electives to finish those 30 credits. So I did just make a note here at the bottom. So students that haven't taken financial planning classes in the past or aren't working professionally, in a firm as a financial planner, as a paraplanner, something like that, we will have those students take fundamentals of financial planning as a prerequisite. So that would up the classes from 10 to 11, but just making sure that you build that good foundation there, especially for career changers or whatever that may be in your specific situation, to make sure that you're prepared to go into that deeper content once you get into the degree. So why K-State? One, we've got very committed faculty. We've got very committed staff. So all of our faculty are in practice as well as academia. So again, we've got Dr. Sensenegg teaching in our program. We've got a few others who have their CFPs, who have that practical experience that they bring into the classroom, but they're also committed to you as a student. So yes, you're doing this program online. Yes, you're at a distance. You're not here in Manhattan, Kansas. You're not in the Little Apple with us on campus taking these classes, but you still have committed faculty that are going to meet with you every week. They're going to have Zoom meetings for your class every week to meet with you, to meet with your classmates, and still have that classroom opportunity, even though you're doing this from a distance. I did my master's online through K-State a couple of years ago. And so I know how easy it is to, feel like you're kind of flying solo, right? For me, it was late nights sitting on the couch working on classes and reading and doing all that. And so there's that flexibility there of online, but still having that opportunity for face-to-face in a virtual classroom. So your faculty are very committed, they're very experienced and knowledgeable, and they're available to you. So it's not just that one opportunity, but they're available to answer questions and be supportive. Student support as well. So moving through the program kind of in a cohort, entering with classmates at the same time. And so you'll start seeing the same faces in your classes. And so you're going to build that kind of cohort network, that classroom support. We've got hands-on student support, myself being the primary support for our students as the academic advisor, but you've also got Jana's team through K-State Online and other folks here at K-State. The resources that our students have on campus are available to you virtually. So if you need to talk to someone in the Career Center to help you with your resume, different things. There's counseling opportunities. There's a lot of resources here at K-State that are still available to you as an online student. I mentioned before that we've got 8-week courses. So our program is designed for working professionals. The absolute vast majority, I would say over 95%, if not closer to 99% of our students are working full-time. So this program is designed for working professionals. So part of that is 8-week courses where you're focusing on one course at a time. You have that flexibility throughout the week. You'll have those live Zoom sessions. They're optional to attend. So if they don't work out for you, you're in a different time zone. I saw we've got some West Coast attendees tonight. Those will be recorded and you can watch them back later on your own time. So there's a lot of flexibility there for working professionals, for folks with families, for folks with a lot of things going on as they're in our program. Our program is also on track towards several professional designations. So the Certified Financial Planner. So if you're looking to get your CFP, we do satisfy the coursework requirement to make you eligible for the CFP exam. The AFC, the Accredited Financial Counselor, the Certified Financial Therapist, the Certified Financial Behavioral Specialist. All of these are designations that our education program satisfies their education requirements. There are additional requirements that each organization will have to ultimately earn those designations. So you get our certificate, you're not yet a CFP, but you do qualify to sit for the exam, which is a huge step along the way. So if you're interested in applying, want to look just really quickly at the application requirements. So starting on the left-hand side, which applies to the PFP certificate, the Advanced Planning Certificate, and the Master's. So on your application, you're going to upload a copy of your resume. You're going to upload a personal statement. About a page is fine. It doesn't have to be terribly long. If you've never written a personal statement for a graduate program before, I've listed the name of a YouTube video on here. It's about 10 minutes long by a professor at K-State where he just kind of talks through what to include when you're writing a personal statement. So it's a really helpful video if you want to, just take a picture of that title real quick with your phone, but that's a great video that I would recommend. So uploading your resume, a personal statement, unofficial transcripts from anywhere you attended prior to K-State. You'll follow up with official copies later, but the unofficial works with the application. And then you'll have 3 references. And I want to definitely reinforce that when you're picking your references, they can be academic, they can be professional. You just want references who can speak to your ability to be successful in a graduate program, for you to be a good fit in a graduate program. But you definitely want references who know your timeline for starting classes. We can't review the applications. We have all your materials, including your references. And unfortunately, I have seen people apply and their references kind of drag their feet a little bit, and it just delays the process. So most importantly, references who will be responsive and submit that for you. And then finally, the application fees. So those are all the materials for the application for the 2 certificates listed in the master's. For the financial therapy certificate, it's everything minus references. So your resume, the personal statement, unofficial transcripts, and the application fee. We do recommend submitting your application at least 4 weeks before your first classes start. And there's 5 opportunities to start classes throughout the year. So with our 8-week classes, we have rolling admissions. That means you can start classes in January, March, June, August, and October. So just be thinking about that with your timeline. Trying to apply at least 4 weeks before those classes start. So we have plenty of time to get everything pushed through and get you set up, get you registered. You and I would have an advising meeting, go over your schedule, and just make sure everything's in place for you to start classes. So looking, aiming for at least 4 weeks before your classes start to send those. So just some questions that we often get. And I do see a question in the chat, so I'll definitely make sure to answer that in just a moment. So current tuition and fees. So the current amount posted for academic year 23-24 is $661 per credit hour. All of our courses are 3 credits. So depending again on the certificate or master's, you might have 18 credits, 12 credits, or 30 for the whole degree. We do get questions about scholarships if there are any available. So there are some scholarships available through K-State Online. There are some scholarships available through the graduate school. And then obviously the opportunity for external scholarships if you're able to locate those. We do have a lot of students that use VA or military benefits. So K-State is a very military friendly institution. And so we can absolutely support you with that and help you get that set up. Otherwise, typically what we see for our students when they're funding our classes is either through an employer's tuition reimbursement or external loans. So those are kind of the opportunities there for funding. I already mentioned before, applying at least 4 weeks before the first day of your course. We can be flexible, but that's a good window of time. We don't require the GRE or the GMAT for admission to the master's or the certificate. So it's only for the doctoral program. And then contact information if you have any questions. So we've got the PFP address. You can reach out to contact me. You can contact online at K-State. And I also put my Calendly in here. So that's just a link to put on schedule time to meet with me on my calendar. So if you've got specific questions or you want to talk about your specific situation, we can build out your unique schedule. I'm happy to meet with you before you apply, before you're admitted, just so we can talk through your options. And then before we go to questions in the chat, so if you're ready to apply, just go to online.k-state.edu and click how to apply. And that online application will walk you through every step. But again, you are welcome to meet with me using this link right here, calendly.com/MorganGrahamKSU. You're welcome to meet with me, but otherwise the next time we'll see each other is after you get that admission decision. And we'll set up a meeting, build your graduation plan, go over everything you need to know and get you started at K-State. So whatever your goals are, really that's why I'm here as an advisor. That's why Dr. Sensenig is here as a faculty member. We are here to support you and ultimately help you to reach your goals. So really excited to be able to support you in that process. With that, I'm going to look over at the chat and start answering some questions. So if you have any questions, please feel free to throw those in and we'll make sure those get addressed. So let me open that and take a look. Okay, so first question I see, is it possible to get copies of the syllabi for the advanced planning classes? Yes, please email me and request that. That's going to be the easiest way. So just email me at that pfp@ksu.edu email address, and I'll be happy to get you some copies of syllabi. How much is the application fee? Are there any waivers? So that's a perfect question. Yes, there is a waiver for attending tonight's webinar. If you apply for, I believe, the spring semester, Jana, correct me if I'm wrong, but if you attended tonight's session live, so if you're watching the recording, unfortunately that's not available, but if you attended the session live tonight, then you can email online@ksu.edu to request the application fee waiver. Okay. Any other questions that y'all have tonight? Let's see. Are all the classes offered 8 weeks? And which courses are offered during each 8-week session? So yes, all the classes are 8 weeks. And give me 1 second. I will put a couple of links in the chat so you can see exactly when the courses are offered. So this first link I'm going to put for you here in the chat. This is for the PFP certificate. So you can see when those are offered. Those are all offered once a year. So a little less flexibility in terms of timing there. There is a sequence there that we find is most helpful for students. So offered once a year each. That second link that you see there is for the financial therapy courses. Those are all offered twice a year. So a little more flexibility there, not necessarily a required sequence to those courses. And then the advanced financial planning, I don't have a link for you just yet, but those are all offered once a year in the fall and spring. So those would be the options there in terms of timing. Okay. Oh, you know what? I may have just sent it to the hosts and the panelists. Let me try that again. Here we go. Okay, so let me try that again. Now there's the link for the PFP classes. And here's the one for the financial therapy. Sorry about that. Okay, any other questions? And I am just one more time going to jump back over to show you my Calendly link. So you've got that. Someone asked, will the presentation be shared with us? Yes. So this is going to be recorded and a link will be emailed out. That'll probably be in a few weeks just to get that file ready for you. So just keep an eye on your email for that to come from online@ksu.edu. But yes, a recording will be available. So outside of the weekly Zoom sessions, is everything else self-study? Yes, so that's a great question. So what are we looking at in terms of coursework week over week? So on the PFP side, I'm just going to jump back over to our certificates real quick. So on the PFP side, looking at, probably a couple of chapters in your book a week. Currently, we use the Money Education textbooks if you want to check those out, but a couple of chapters a week reading in your textbook, discussion boards to interact with your classmates about that week's reading, quizzes, midterms, final exams, and then there's going to be, case studies throughout the program. Tax, of course, you'll be doing some tax forums, things like that. But it is on your own time. So those weekly Zoom meetings, they are optional. There's no penalty if you can't attend. They're recorded for you to watch later. So everything is on your own time. However, you do still have weekly deadlines. So it is a structured pace. It's not going to be a self-study pace to be, you can move ahead or, go at your own pace. There are structured weekly deadlines. Financial therapy. So same deal in terms of reading a couple chapters a week. You'll have some discussion boards. You'll have, conversations in those weekly meetings where you're kind of applying what you're talking about. And then papers in terms of assessment. So not really quizzes and finals on that side, but rather papers over your readings. And then on the advanced financial planning side, again, readings, discussion boards, and then a lot of case study, a lot of application, practical application on the advanced financial planning side. Okay, any other questions? All right, I'll give us just another second, see if any others come through before we wrap up. But just want to thank you again for being with us tonight. Set up time to meet with me. Let's see, I do see one more question that came through. Can you go into the same coursework / testing for masters? So, okay, sorry, sorry, I had to think about that one for a second. So it's all the same. So it's still the same courses if you're doing the master's, because again, that's just pairing some of these certificates together. So when we're talking about week over week, what does that look like? You're really just looking at what section of the course is. So if you're doing the master's with the PFP, with the financial therapy, then you'll have, what we talked about there for quizzes, discussion boards, midterms, finals. And then on the financial therapy side, those 4 classes is where you'll have papers and discussion boards and things like that. Yeah. So just pairing those two together. One other thing that I do want to mention is that sometimes we'll have folks who come in and they say, okay, I want to get my CFP. I definitely want to do the PFP classes. But you've got a couple of courses over here in financial therapy that sound really interesting, but then over in advanced financial planning, I also want to do these too. I do a lot with tax at my firm. I really want to refine those skills. So what we can do there is just kind of pair them together. So one thing that's really unique is when you're enrolling in the master's, you're receiving these graduate certificates as well. So yes, you'll get a master's in financial planning, but you're also going to come away with a certificate in financial therapy or a certificate in advanced financial planning or in financial planning. However, if you're saying, okay, well, I want to kind of mix and match a little bit, you can still get the master's, you just may not get the certificates, but then you can kind of build the schedule that you want based on the content that you're looking for. One other thing that I didn't mention that I will go ahead and just offer now. So if you're looking at these options and you're saying, okay, right now, I know I just want my CFP or I just want to do financial therapy. So I'm just going to do the certificate, but I think down the road, I might want the master's. Not really sure yet, not really ready to dive all the way in and commit to that. My recommendation, if you're thinking that there's a chance that you'll do the master's, I recommend just apply for the master's up front. So like I mentioned before, when you do the master's degree, you are receiving these certificates in addition to the degree. So let's say you start the master's and you get through the 6 PFP classes. That's really all you needed to start out to get your CFP. You think there's a chance of doing the whole degree, but you get through the first 6 and you say, you know what, that's good. That's all I really need. Or right now, it's just not going to work with how life is looking. I'm good with these 6. Well, you're still going to receive the certificate, even if you don't finish the full master's. But if you get through those 6 courses and you say, yeah, I'm ready to keep this going. I'm over halfway halfway through. I want to earn the master's. It's only a couple more semesters. Well, you've saved yourself the step of having to apply multiple times. So if you apply for the certificate up front and then decide to do the master's later, you'll have to submit a second application for the master's degree. But if you apply for the master's up front, you're still going to get the certificates, and then you can decide along the way of, yeah, I do want to pursue this all the way to the end, or I'm good with the certificate that I've got, and you can call it a day there. So if there's any kind of inkling that you think you'll continue on with the full degree, I just recommend applying for the master's up front. Just spare yourself having to go through the application process twice, because you do have to be formally admitted into the program. Application fee, I believe, is $65. But again, if you apply for the spring semester, or even there's still an opportunity to apply to start this October. So if you want to get in this October and get started this year, but if you apply for the spring semester by attending tonight, you can request an application fee waiver. So just email online@ksu.edu. Here we go. Online@ksu.edu, you can request that fee waiver. Okay, any prerequisites for financial therapy if you're not already in practice. So the only class we would have as a prerequisite, this would be for the master's, or if you're coming into financial therapy without financial planning experience, we do have you take fundamentals just so you have that familiarity with financial planning concepts. We do have folks that come into financial therapy who are not in financial services. So we have folks that come from mental health industry, counseling, therapy, different areas. They say, hey, this comes up in my practice. People want to talk about money and I don't know how to help them. So not everyone's coming from financial services. So we have folks coming in separately for financial therapy. And so that is where that fundamentals class will come in. So you still have that basic understanding of financial concepts that are relevant to the coursework you're doing in financial therapy, but that is the only prerequisite that you would see. Okay, recommend taking any particular PFP class first other than the prereq, and recommend a certain class that should be taken last. That's a great question. So I'm going to kind of zero in right here on this, was at the 5th bullet point on the PFP certificate. So actually the order you see the classes here, well, with we'll flip tax and estate, but if you start in the fall, this is the order of classes. So insurance, retirement, that would be the fall. In the spring, you would do investments and then estate planning. The summer is tax, and then the next fall is case studies. For anyone coming in without industry experience, if you're a career changer, or even if you're kind of new in the industry, that is going to be the recommended sequence. Occasionally we'll have students start in the spring and start with investments and then estate before they do tax, insurance, and retirement. And if you're a career changer, that is a mighty leap to make. And we do find that students tend to struggle. It's a very, very big jump to go right into investments and tax. Even if we've got that fundamentals class, that's helpful, but really having that building sequence of fundamentals into insurance to retirement before you get to investments and estate, we find that to be helpful. So starting in the fall is helpful in that way. For the last class, case studies or capstone. You'll kind of hear that term used interchangeably. So the case studies class is the last class of that CFP sequence. And so it's comprehensive. You're going to build a comprehensive financial plan. That is a requirement of the CFP board that you take that capstone class. So that is going to be the last one in the CFP or the PFP sequence over here on the left. The track for current CFPs. So for that master's, you'll see it's going to be this third option right here. So that's going to be the financial therapy with the advanced financial planning and the elective. So just popping back over here real quick so you can see those courses. So for the financial therapy, that's going to be these right here: intro, money and relationships, behavioral, and theory and research. And then on the advanced side, you've got advanced estate, retirement tax, and practice management, and then 2 electives to go with that. So we've got a list of options. The 2 that I see students take most often, both because they enjoy the content, it's beneficial to their practice, and it's flexible with schedules, is going to be conflict resolution and foundations of leadership. So those are not through our department. K-State has a really great conflict resolution department and a really great leadership department. And so you take classes through there. But additional options that we have, we've got a financial counseling class. We've got a research class. Depending on when you got your CFP, we even sometimes have folks that take the case studies class. So there's some flexibility there. But all that to say, the baseline of the master's, if you have your CFP, is financial therapy with advanced planning. And then you and I would work together to figure out the electives that are the right fit for you. That would still keep you on a 2-year timeline for the master's. Okay. Any other questions? I think I'm just going to scroll through one more time, make sure I didn't miss any. Okay. I don't see any. So one last call for questions. Again, I'm happy to meet with you one-on-one if there are any specific questions that you have. But with that, I think we will wrap up. So again, just thank you so much for being here tonight. I think Jana will provide just kind of our closeout details. But if there's anything you need, reach out anytime. I hope we see you all as some new K-State Wildcats in the future. So thank you.
All right. Well, I'd like to thank Dr. Sensnick and Morgan for their presentation, and I also want to thank everyone for joining us here tonight. If you're ready to apply, please visit our website at online.ksu.edu and select how to apply for detailed instructions. We also, as Morgan mentioned, want to let everyone know that we have application fee waivers available for those who attended the webinar live tonight and who are applying for the spring 2024 semester. So reach out to us at online@ksu.edu when you're ready to apply, and we will provide you with a code. Finally, if you have any additional questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. Thanks again, and I hope you have a great night.